one more point. I just want to add, there's a photograph of our subject that's been widely distributed. I want to remind the public that it's there. If you see this individual, please, I want to emphasize this, do not take action on your own. We want you to dial 911 to your local police department, and anything that you might know about this individual, please send that to the FBI tip line. This is very, very important. I appealed the other day to the community for your cooperation, and you've come through. We need that continuing cooperation to solve this. Thank you. Well, I think that goes to the investigation, and I don't want to discuss the investigation. I'll talk about anything that happened here today.
One at a time.
Well,
any second thoughts about the decisions that have been made since the bombing?
No, we're committed to this since 11:30 or 11 o'clock last night. We've worked through since that time, and we have had people tirelessly walking those streets, going door to door up there. Unfortunately, we did not have enough people when those shootings took place in order to deal with the first aid issues that were prominent and establish a perimeter at that point in time. Go ahead.
Chief, do you know where the suspect is, or do you believe you know where the suspect is tonight? And how can you reconcile golding your life with an armed and dangerous pipe bomb toting individual?
May I? Well, I don't think, first of all, that the instruction lends itself to, simple phrases, right? We are where we were effectively as of Monday night or Tuesday morning. With a couple of exceptions. One of the suspects is dead. There was a firefight out here last night, some 200 rounds and explosives. So we were very justified, I believe, based on what we understood about the investigation, in taking what we knew was a big step in asking people to stay indoors while we went house to house here and in other communities close by to which we believed the suspect, or law enforcement believed the suspect, could have fled. The investigation has continued to develop. We can't give you all the reasons, all those developments right now. We will in the fullness of time. We can't right now, but based on those developments, we feel it is prudent to be able to say to people, you can get back out as long as you are vigilant.
Just the state police, or will there be additional municipalities?
This has been an ongoing effort of the Joint Terrorism Task Force. It was from its onset, and it will continue to be that. So you have the FBI, the state police, and all of the local police departments, including the Boston Police Department. Go ahead.
Do you believe the suspect is still in the Boston area, or has he fled?
Does he have a car?
I think no, I don't have any direct knowledge that he's here in the Boston area, but we don't think he'd get much further. His ties seem to be here.
Ryan, right here.
How and when did you know that they were the bombing suspects?
Well, I think this developed rather quickly last night, and I would wager that most of the activity that was printed in the media yesterday forced them to make decisions or take actions that ultimately revealed who they were. No. Yeah, I want to be clear about the armed robbery. These folks do not appear to be the individuals who were involved in the armed robbery. They were at the 7-Eleven in Cambridge at a time that was somewhat coincidental to that, and we retrieved a surveillance video out of the 7-Eleven, but they were not involved in an armed robbery of that convenience store. No, I don't want to comment on that because that's a homicide investigation. But all of this individual's ties were here in Massachusetts, and we believe that's the only person that we're looking for at this time.
Right here, down in front of us.
Yes, I believe he's still in Massachusetts.
And you're giving 20 extra troopers to Watertown for the weekend. Does that indicate that really might...
No, the whole point in providing that extra coverage to Watertown is for the benefit of this community. We've had this whole community, in fact, the greater Boston area, as you know, shut down today. But in particular, these folks had a shooting in their neighborhood last night. There was a loss of life up there. It was very violent activity. And so to provide that level of comfort to those folks up there in that neighborhood, we're providing or supplementing the Watertown Police Department. That would be supposition on my part, and I'm not going to do that. I'm not aware of a Mercedes the public should be looking for. Go ahead.
And County Anderson next.
Did what you removed from the crime scene today indicate anything about, pardon me, what the suspect's intentions may have been regarding additional attacks? Is there any indication that they wanted to conduct one?
Well, it's clear to us that there were explosives that they had with them last night. They threw those at the police officers that were pursuing them. Beyond that, what their intentions were would be a matter of supposition, and I'm not going to do that. Which car?
The one that had blown out the road, the one that you were been looking for, that was connected to them?
The people that had prior to the project.
Prior to the project?
The Honda being processed.
Yeah, that car, you're talking about the Honda, that car is being processed at this point, but its relevance to the case is still not known.
Are you fearful, given everything that's been going on here for the past week, are you worried about vigilantes?
It's not something that I've considered. I'm worried about apprehending this particular subject. He's a very violent and dangerous person. That's our primary concern. I'm sorry? We don't know of a vehicle that he has.
You had an entire city on lockdown to search for this suspect. What's changed in the last 8 hours? For the public, you think the public should feel safe to go out and this suspect is still on the loose? And what is your message to that suspect?
My message to the suspect is to give himself up, to stop any further violence towards anyone. In terms of where he is at this point, we cannot continue to lock down an entire city or an entire state. We are confident that we've done what we can do here in this particular neighborhood in terms of our search. And unfortunately, that was not fruitful. But we are redoubling our efforts, and we are as committed as we were this morning towards apprehending him.
But has anything changed in the last 8 hours? Have you found out anything new?
No.
Are you simply giving Watertown an all clear?
I would never give an all clear on anything. Again, I want to reemphasize the point that people have got to be vigilant. This is a dangerous person who we believe has killed people. They need to be extremely careful and contact their local police department if they even suspect they identify this individual.
Have you secured the suspect's arsenal, bomb materials?
We've done a number of searches this afternoon, but that, again, is going to go to the investigation, and I don't want to comment on that. Well, I think that would always be law enforcement's preference. But sometimes those things are decisions that they take away from us, and we hope that's not the case here. And that's why I'm appealing to him to give himself up and do it now. They were together last night. One of them was killed, and one of them fled the scene. On foot. I'm not going to get into that again. This is a homicide case we're talking about, and I don't want to discuss the evidence in the case.
Two more questions. Right here. One. Right here. One.
Well, I think, again, that's going to go to the investigation, and I don't want to comment on the evidence. Yeah. I think that you should be reassured by the presence, the enhanced presence of the state police in the Watertown Police Department being here in your neighborhood. And we are convinced that we did absolutely everything that we could in this neighborhood to ensure that this individual is not where he left last night.
The last question.
We got the
Last question, Colonel.
last question.
How did he get away?
We'll look under investigation.
How did he get away? And do you have a sense of where he is?
He abandoned a car that he had used that was involved in the pursuit from Cambridge here to Watertown last night. In terms of how he got away, he did it on foot. He fled on foot. I don't know where he went specifically after that.
So he abandoned the car.
I think that's it.
That's all.
Thank you very much.
We're covering old ground. We'll say what we say. Motive remains under investigation. As I said to start this, much of this remains under investigation. This is going to be the last briefing of the night unless there's...
Okay, and as you just heard right there, they're the final briefing, and not from Watertown. We heard from law enforcement officials there, as well as the mayor of Watertown and the governor, Governor Deval Patrick of Massachusetts. All right, over the course of the balance of this hour, we're going to get into a bunch of different angles. We're going to try and piece together not just the timeline that led to the major exchange of gunfire, 200 rounds last night that claimed one of the brothers, and also put an officer in critical condition right now, but stable in after the shootings, but also what we're learning about the terrorist at large, his background, and also we're going to hear from family members of him, both here as well as in Russia, and some of the questions people are saying as to how did someone seemingly so normal become so radicalized, and how did we get to this point? And then all the ongoing questions surrounding the investigation. We also have reporters up live in Boston and the surrounding areas to be getting reaction up there. They have basically lifted basically the curtain that was over Massachusetts. People are able to move about, but obviously with the back of their minds that one of the perpetrators on these Boston bombings is still at large. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to get into all those questions and more. Please stay with us.